Hey guys, this is Justin Berry with the Basketball Embassy again. Uh, I'm here with Coach Suchong from Malaysia. He is the head of the Roosters Basketball Academy there, and we're going to be talking about grassroots youth development in Southeast Asia and where he's at specifically. Uh, we've had a bunch of unique speakers so far, and this is no different. So this is, I think, the first grassroots youth speaker that we've had. So, Coach, without further ado, is going to take us through some slides, and we'll have a little Q&A as we go along. So, Coach, you got it.
All right, thank you, Justin, for the introduction. But first of all, I'd also like to thank the Basketball Embassy for hosting this International Coaches Clinic, and also Coach Layson Perkins for inviting me to do this this talk. And I'm truly honored and at the same time really humbled to be a part of this, because there's been so many great coaches and speakers sharing on this platform since March, and I've managed to acquire new knowledge that I wouldn't have if this COVID-19 never happened. And it's really difficult for us to access all these quality speakers. And now it's my part to contribute back to the global coaching community. So we'll just go straight into the heart of things. I'm just going to share my screen. So is that okay?
Yeah, that works.
Excellent. So I'll be talking about grassroots basketball development, specifically in Sabah. We call it also known as North Borneo in Malaysia. So just a little bit of myself. I'm the founder and managing director of Roosters Sports Management Sdn Bhd, which under it is the Roosters Basketball Club and also the Roosters Basketball Academy. Qualification-wise, for coaching, I have the USA Basketball School license and also our national governing body, the Malaysia Basketball Association's Level 1 certificate. In terms of coaching experience for camps and school-wise, last year I participated in the Snow Valley, Iowa basketball camp as a guest coach for 2 weeks, coaching the boys and girls. And really thankful for Coach Don Showalter to invite me to participate in that camp. And of course, learning from Coach Tate Slock, Dave Ballwinkle, and also one of my mentors, Coach Greg White. And also last year participated in the Junior NBA Asia coaching. Was one of their coaches for Sabah, actually the only coach for Sabah. So I had to travel around the state to do workshops on behalf of Junior NBA Asia. And currently I'm working with a girls basketball team in my local city, which is I'm an alma mater there as well. And also some of the boys from a local secondary school, they didn't have a coach, so they just approached me and asked them to help them out since last year, end of last year. But with the COVID-19 happening late December, and then the lockdown in March, we pretty much stopped. We couldn't access our facilities to train them. Tournament-wise, I've been working with Roosters Basketball Academy, actually founded since 2017 and until today, and hopefully we're restructuring for when we reopen for after our lockdown. Tournaments-wise, I've been back in Malaysia since 2010 from Australia, and working as a coach since 2017. But last year was pretty good in terms of tournaments experience. I had a chance to work with my state team for the Malaysia Basketball Cup National Championships, which we came first runner-up. And of course, a couple of international invitations in West Malaysia and also locally here in KK. And various state tournaments and district tournaments in my hometown. Just a few photos of my experiences last year, and there's Coach Don Showalter and Coach Tate Slock in the photo as well. Now, just jumping in, we're going into the basketball landscape of Malaysia. So we have number one, the differences between West Malaysia and also our side, which is Sabah. The challenges that we face in terms of infrastructure and exposure, and then of course, the next play. What do we do about it? How do we overcome these challenges? And what have we been doing about it personally in our academy? So the differences in terms of geography of Malaysia, West Malaysia on the left side is where Kuala Lumpur is, our capital city. We're separated by the South China Sea, and we highlighted in blue is where my state is, Sabah. We are the second largest state in Malaysia. Next, on the largest state will be Sarawak, just below us. In West Malaysia, you'll get a lot of leagues, like the high school basketball championships established since 2007, and the University Basketball League. There is a so-called Pro League as well, but established in 2017. But they've only got about 6 teams there, and I think 4 of them are located in Malaysia, and the others, one is from Singapore, and then the other one I kind of forget where it was. And we have a professional team playing in the ASEAN Basketball League, which is the Kuala Lumpur Dragons. They were doing pretty well this season. I think they were ranked 3rd on the ladder just before the cancellation of their season. Now in Sabah, we have mainly tournaments. There's no leagues running. We have the inter-school tournaments for primary school and secondary schools. And we have district tournaments for age groups under 12, under 14s, under 15s, under 17s, 20U, and open. Then they progress towards the state tournaments for under 15s, under 17s, and the open. So they vie for, they play in these state tournaments to be selected to play in the national championships. And then there's various other tournaments which happen monthly. And that's the culture that has been for the past 20 years or so.
Coach, just to clarify for some of the viewers here, because I know in Europe where I've been a lot, there's no high school basketball equivalent. Everybody plays for a club. So obviously you have that in Malaysia, but so you mentioned there is a high school competition
yes.
that exists.
Yes, it has, but it's only based in West Malaysia.
Okay.
So we don't have access. So I'll explain a little bit in the challenges what we face.
Okay.
So in terms of logistics, we'll just skip a little bit. In terms of logistics, West Malaysia is about 1,600 kilometers away from Sabah, okay, because it's separated by the sea. So traveling between Sabah and Kuala Lumpur is really expensive. Per person, it'll probably cost about 600 ringgit, about $200 per trip. Okay. Return trip. So you imagine having one team of players just going over to play a league every week. That's going to be difficult.
Yeah, right? For sure. Yeah.
But in terms of West Malaysia, there are 11 states and 2 federal territories within that particular area of 131 square kilometers, right? So they can travel easily from north to south or south to north within 6 hours. Okay, there's a federal express highway just straight up, and there's not many. It's not as mountainous region as Sabah and also Sarawak.
So with I guess with it's easy for them to have to have a high school league, but for you guys in the east, I guess it kind of amplifies the importance of clubs and basketball academies then.
Yes, but we don't have that many clubs. We're actually one of the first clubs to officially recruit players or well, not recruiting players, but we're teaching, setting up an academy, looking for talents, basically.
Okay, cool.
The his the the landscape in Sabah is mostly playing tournaments, and they play monthly. So a lot of teams, players skip between teams, so there's no dedicated players. Sometimes they don't stick with a particular team for their length of their career or even for a few years. So they just jump around basically. So that's a culture that we need to change. That's one of the challenges. So the other main challenges that we have in Sabah is a shortage of coaches. Not all school teachers have the knowledge of basketball, but they have to pick up they have to teach physical education at their school. So they have to teach various different types of sports. It has to maybe athletics. And basketball, volleyball, football. Football to us is soccer, basically. And the other thing is it's not very glamorous. We don't get paid a lot as coaches, and a lot of people don't see it as a career. So that's one of the other challenges as well. Logistics-wise, earlier we said we're quite underdeveloped in terms of road system in West Malaysia compared to East Malaysia as well. So let's say, for example, West Malaysia, I previously mentioned, with the 11 states and 2 federal territories, their total road length, developed road length, is about 162,000 kilometers. Whereas with our state, which is the second largest state in the whole of Malaysia, our total road length is about 24,000 kilometers. So that's a huge discrepancy, about 8 times. So it's really difficult for us to travel. For example, last year when I had to just go 30 kilometers down from city to a town, it took me about an hour to drive. And when we had to go about 130 plus kilometers, it took me 2.5 to 3 hours because of the mountainous areas that we had to go through. And it's really difficult. We don't have tunnels like in developed countries, in Japan, America, and UK, and all those places. The other thing is basketball is not a national sport. Basically, a lot of people play individual sports like badminton, but the biggest team sport here would be soccer or football to us. And basketball is viewed as not very inclusive here in Malaysia. It was introduced in Malaysia in the early 20th century by the Chinese immigrants, and it's pretty much known as a Chinese community-based sport. But there has been progress over in West Malaysia, where they have a national community basketball league, where it's mainly they have about over 1,000 non-Chinese players, so they are native Malay players and the other main ethnic groups. Right. And the other thing is facilities are not widely available. We have a lot of schools. They don't have these type of facilities. That's why they like to play football, where it's just an open area. They just can kick the ball on the grass field or even in the dirt. But there is not many basketball hoops around the schools, especially in the rural areas. And the other thing is one of the most important is we have a lack of funding. I've spoken to our state chairman. He's mentioned to me that the state governing body received approximately 80,000 ringgit per annum. Right, that's about $18,000 every year. So that's not enough for basketball development. So even like I said earlier, you're sending a team of 15 players plus coaches to a tournament in West Malaysia. It will cost you about 15 grand per team, and that's a boys team. Then you've got the girls team together. You're going, that's already 30 grand. So it's not really enough to cover for training development over the course of the year. So we've talked about these challenges. We always tell our players the next play. We don't dwell on, we tell our players not to dwell on their mistakes or whatever difficulty they had in the game. They have to think about the next play to help the team to win. So number one, we have to grow the game. By growing the game, we have to be inclusive, introduce it to, earlier I mentioned, it's not very inclusive and it's mainly known as the Chinese community's basketball game here in Malaysia. We have to approach and introduce the game to a lot of our compatriots who've never had the opportunity to play the game of basketball or been coached before. That's why I was very happy to be a part of Junior NBA Asia. It allowed me to go and visit a lot of schools down in the outskirts. Make it fun. Sometimes coaches tend to they have a criteria to win to play for to coach for schools. We have to make it fun so that number one, winning should not be the main objective in grassroots basketball. It should be about learning and teaching the kids to learn more about how they can improve themselves. So we have to focus on motor skill development, and we also encourage multi-sport participation. And we introduce games into our coaching programs. And we have to think about long-term athlete development plans as well. So the training has to be in progression and stages, and it has to be skill-appropriate teaching instead of age group-based teaching. So we have, and for example, we have 11-year-old and 13-year-old kids. They train with our under 20 players because they do have the skill level. And we want them to be more engaged and keep on progressing better. So they work with the older kids in our academy. And of course, basketball for life. Everyone like myself, I'm 41 years old. I can't keep on playing for long. And I've already had a heart surgery earlier this year, so I won't be able to play any competitive basketball anymore. And so coaching is the next stage of my basketball life. For the next 30 years, that's my plan. I want to just devote my time coaching and working with grassroots development. And the other challenges, the other way to overcome the challenge is investing in our own facility, which we have. We for our club, it's difficult for us to rent a space, especially when there's other people who want to use the space as well. And we normally have outdoor parks, public parks where we can access as well. But the problem is we can't. We won't be able to sort of say, okay, 8 to 10 p.m. we will be the only ones using the public parks, because it's a public area, so everyone can access it. And when we use our local council's facility, everyone wants to book an indoor facility as well. So everyone will queue up to book for rent the courts every month at the start of the month. So for example, for the past couple of years, normally just before the start of the first day of the month, we have to queue up at around 7 a.m. to get our bookings done. And we never managed to get the first in queue. So we have to, we sometimes have to work around everyone's time to get our slots, and then we can go ahead to tell parents, okay, we've got this certain slots this month, so then you let us know whether you can come and train. So there's no fixed time in a sense, and there's no fixed location, so we have to always travel around to coach. So we saw that as a challenge that we need to overcome. So we got a few of our friends working together, and we invested in our own facility. And I was inspired by the movie Field of Dreams to do this. As they said, if you build it, they will come. So it worked, and we have over 200 young kids working with, attending our classes every week. And what to teach as a grassroots basketball coach. Of course, we have to work on the fundamentals. And when we say fundamentals, it has to cover footwork. Footwork is a really underrated, here in Southeast Asia, especially Malaysia. When we say footwork, we're talking about pivoting, jabs, body control, your jump stops, your landing, and all these footwork drills, footwork skills. Then of course you have to work on defense. We are a country where we, in our grassroots level or even our youth level, and also our open level, we tend to play zone defenses. And last year we had one of the under 16 head coach for China who came over, and he observed our national team play. And he said at the international invitational, he said our defense basics is not as good as he would have expected. So and we need to work on our basic defense as well. And we have to work on passing and catching, your ball handling, your shooting and finishing, and also your rebounding. So I've got a few favorite drills to share with you later on some of this. And of course, we have to do motor skill development at a young age. A lot of kids, they don't have any athletic skills. So when we say basic athletic skills, it's about running and stopping, jumping and landing, change of directions and speed, and also the range of motion and mobility of the athletes. I have encountered athletes who are 17 years old. They cannot run properly. So we have to reteach them how to run, how to change directions, how to land, how to stop before we can go into further advanced stuff.
Coach, we have one question here. Are you with the 200 kids or so that you're talking about? Obviously, yep. As in every country in the world, there's kids that are on different levels. But do you have? Are you dealing with the challenge of having to run sessions with kids that are much more advanced than the majority, or is everybody kind of on the same level at the moment?
That's a good question. We actually, well, our academy works with kids from age 6 to over 20s. And in a class, for example, every week we have a few classes on the weekends, especially Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. So for example, in the morning class, 8 to 10 a.m. on a Saturday, we would have 6-year-olds and 17 years old working at the same time. Okay. So we'll split them up into depends on skill levels. So we'll work. One of the half will work with one of our assistant coaches will work on the younger kids. Sometimes I work with the younger kid, the non-advanced kids as well, so the beginners. And then I'll work. One of us will be working with the more advanced. So we may have 13 years old, or like I said, 11 years old and 17-year-old working together, but we will manage. Let's say, for example, finishing. we don't expect a 11-year-old kid working on a 10-foot ring to do a reverse layup on that 10-foot ring, because it's really difficult for them to twist their body, to twist their body and control their body. But we'll let them try. We'll let them try. Once they've done, they've managed to just perform the normal layups. We'll work on different. We'll advance. We'll work on progressively. So we just work with different skill level kids as well. Sometimes a 17-year-old won't be as good as an 11-year-old. We've
Right.
experienced that. Yeah, we're not worried about the talent basically. Then other than motor skill, then we have to work on decision making and competing, and also that's why a lot of the favorite drills that I'll be sharing are multi-skilled and multi-effort, so that we can try to teach you know, in a condensed form, multiple skills. Because a lot of our kids now, they tend to do, I'm not sure what, we call it tuition. So they're after school or during the weekends, they will go, they'll have extra academic learning outside of their school. So our parents here, of our children here in Malaysia, they tend to focus more on academics, because we don't have a professional league, established professional league like the NBA or Euro League for them to aspire to work towards. So parents would like to have kids to focus more on their studies, and it's another challenge that I didn't manage to put in earlier, where kids, it's parents would, the time that the kids have in a week is really not a lot. So sometimes they can only have 2 hours max to just do something else apart from study. So we have to mix a lot of multi-effort and multi-skills into our drills. But we have to be creative, but it has to be simple. So we try not to be too fancy with what we do, especially for grassroots development. But once these kids, especially the ones who show a lot of talent, we'll bring them up to a more advanced training with our talented players, and they work with different coaches that we have for sharing, like last season for the under-20s, we have a coach from Taiwan, Coach James Lin, and he was working with the under-20s for our team, and he coached that team, and he worked with 13 years old and under-20s, and they did pretty well in the local district tournament, where our players, they're non-basketball, they don't have basketball backgrounds, they may be track athletes, they may be volleyball players, or they just happen to approach us because they have no teams want them to play. So we just coached them for 3 months, and they did pretty well. And how to teach, of course, as coaches, we need to always have our practice plans. We don't just rock up to a training session and start doing random stuff. So depending on the kids that we have that attends our sessions daily, so we have a record, so we know what sort of drills that we can work with the kids, and we'll assess the kids based on their skill level, as said earlier, and we may modify it on the spot, but we have the practice plans ready. So we just tweak it to make it a little bit more challenging for them, and they can just learn from that. So I learned this from Coach Mike Dunlap from a USA basketball workshop. There's 5 laws of learning. So how do we teach using the 5 laws? It's basically started from Coach John Wooden. Number one, we start with the explanation. So we explain to the kids, whether it's verbally or showing them on a diagram how to do what we want to do for the next drill. Then we do a demonstration, either ourselves as the coaches, or last year when I had the heart incident, I had to sit down most of my coaching sessions, and I had a more experienced kid to demonstrate what we want, and or even an assistant coach, and then they imitate, and then we go through corrections slowly. So because kids, they cannot pick up every little detail instantly, so we need to let them try and let them fail, and then we correct them, and then they go through the repetition again. Our drills probably go for 4 to 6 minutes for a specific drill. So if they are more advanced, we'll chop it up into more variations during that drill. For in 6 minutes, we'll probably do 6 drills with different finishings or different variations, split into minutes. Minute by minute. But for beginners in Grassroots, we'll probably do the whole 6 minutes, just correcting in terms of details. And one of the things that I really like learning from USA Basketball is sweat equity. Sweat equity means the coaches have to go down. If we're able, we should be working with the kids, sweating it out with them so that they can see us really being passionate about the game, showing them that we can do what we teach is what we can do as well, so that they will replicate the intensity, they will replicate the passion that we show towards the drill. So that's one really good lesson that I've learned from USA Basketball. So how am I going for time?
We're good right now, Coach. We've got about 20 more minutes.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I've got 4 favorite drills that I've encountered over this past 3 years, especially from USA Basketball and the Snow Valley, Iowa basketball camp. So the first one is the box. So we go. Sorry, I'll skip it. The first one is the line drill, Don Showalter line drill. So it's a multi-effort, multi-skill footwork, multi-skill drill where we work on footwork, handling, and we can implement screening and using screens, and also passing. And we add defenders in for them to use decision makings. So we'll probably let the defenders know, okay, how do we want you to defend the person with the ball? And then the person with the ball will need to react to that type of defense to work their skills. And we have to be creative and just add a competing element. So we'll probably have, let me see where I can share another screen. Oops. So we will have, let's say we have 12 players. We'll probably have them in groups of 3s, and the first person in front will have the ball, and then two other players behind them. So the most basic part of this drill is number 1, dribbles, 2 dribbles, and gets in a jump stop or 1-2 stop, and then you front pivot and you pass the ball back, you sprint back to the line. So you can do these drills for warm-ups, and you just go through different type of footwork where you need to focus on your pivots, your jump stops, or your 1-2 stops, and your jab step. Let's say if we add a defender, you add a jab step, or if no defender, imagine there's a defender, you add a jab step before you do your dribble. And the types of passing that we would have will probably be a chest pass, bounce pass, a push pass, single-handed push pass, left or right, a step out pass, step through, etc. This is a really good conditioning drill, especially if you have 3 players in the line. They've got to get 2 dribbles and sprint back to the line, and it really works on their stamina as well. Oops, skip in front. Now the next one is the Coach Tate's Locks box drills. Again, it works on footwork, handling, and different types of finishing. You can work on in various areas of the floor. You can work diagonally. But we call it a box because we work using the lane lines. And this is particularly great for individuals, especially during this COVID-19 situation. You can work on it by yourself on the court. We can also modify it to include defenders as well. I'll just share the screen, how you would set it up. I can share all these fast draw slides for anyone who's interested. I'll share with you my contact details at the end. So the basic, you can do multiple different types of finishing to all this. So the first one we'll probably do, player would just pass the ball to himself and catch just by spinning the ball to the elbow. So he's going to probably, he or she is probably going to jump stop or even get into 1-2, but we'll go in with a jump stop first. And then it's going to reverse drop step and finish with the layup with a power dribble before that. Then we can go into the counter. It's a drop fake and then front pivot and take that shot. Then we go into another counter, drop fake, front pivot, shot fake, and you rip and drive to the rim. So as you can see, there's different types of footwork and body movements, and also your finishing in the drills. Then we can go into probably a reverse pivot and a shot, another counter, and reverse pivot, shot fake, and drive and finish on the opposite side. And we can go into a reverse pivot, shot fake, drive, side step, and then a shot. And then we can also, instead of taking that shot after the side step, we add a hezi and finish off with a goofy layup. So there's a lot of different types of skills that we can get the kids to explore. And it's a really good warm-up drill as well. So they can get there before the start of our team sets or team drills. We'll get them to do this. Now, the next one is the fourth quarter shooting drill. It may be titled as a shooting drill, but it works really on a lot of your footwork, your passing, getting open, your conditioning, and competing. So you can work in threes or work in pairs, and you can have multiple groups in a basket. So there will be people running into each other if they don't focus on who's in front of them. And it's pretty controlled chaos. We call it controlled chaos. So kids will have to try to move away from obstacles and getting open passes. Getting open for passes. So sometimes when we first start this drill, kids will just stand in one spot and still wait for a pass, even though there's someone right in between that pass. So we can correct them when they repeat that drill. So for a 2-person setup, we would have one person under the basket with the ball. They'll pass the ball to a player in the perimeter. And after that pass, he's got to run out to get open. And the person shooting the ball will have to go rebound the ball, jumps and land and pivot to the open person and pass that ball and run and cut. And if it's, sorry, my slide is a little bit wrong. For a 3-person setup, you would have the third person shooting the ball when the drill starts. And then he needs to go and rebound the ball and pass to the open person. So I don't have a video showing this because our academy is pretty, we don't have a lot of resources in terms of coaches, and so we haven't been able to shoot our own drills at this point in time, but we'll try to work on that in future. So the competing element is either against time or against time and score, or you play against when you have multi-groups together, you have to also compete against the other group, the first person to reach this target during this time. So especially when we have 4 minutes in this drill, and we give them a target of you need to make 36 makes or 30 makes, within this 4-minute drill, they will run for it. And if they don't reach this target, they need to do line drills, or in the past we would call it suicides, but it's not that politically correct at the moment. So, and the staple of Snow Valley basketball is the cutthroat drill. It's a 3 versus 3 or 4 versus 4 game. So there are 3 simple rules, and we've added some extra stuff in there as well. So number 1, when you catch the ball, you have to square up to the basket, face the basket. If you don't, the ball will go to the defense. Defense will become offense, and offense gets off, and a new set of team comes in. After you've passed, the second rule is after you pass, you need to cut, but you need to move with a purpose. If that doesn't happen, we'll blow the whistle and say they are off, and they switch offense to defense to offense. And after each score, we have to thank the passer. This encourage communication, and also acknowledging their team, that the other player, that their assist really made them score. And the other things to teach competing, and also and thinking the next play. We play the game with no fouls and no out of bounds. So in a game, especially, we see young kids, they tend to complain to the ref when there's no foul calls, and while the ball is still in play, and then they give up a turnover, and the opponents make a basket. So we play with no fouls and no out of bounds, so they'll keep on competing. And this drill is really a good teaching drill for competing, grit, teamwork, and also overcoming adversity. I think this drill really helped with our kids with no basketball background. They just keep fighting. They just keep on getting the ball. They don't give up. So that's the end of my sharing. But I have one more thing that I would like to share, which is how to be a better coach. There's plenty of resources around. For example, the USA Basketball Gold License, you can access it on this website, community.usab.com. Coach Q hosting this clinic as well. Championship Productions, Junior NBA. They have a plethora of skills and drills that you can work with, especially for youth coaching. And you have your national governing bodies accreditation. So wherever you are in the world, work with your association, local basketball association, to get your coaching license. And the main thing is you've got to teach at camps. You're going to learn a lot. You're going to learn from other coaches. That's why I'm really fortunate to work at Snow Valley, Iowa basketball camp last year. And I truly learned a lot, and we are evaluated by our mentors over there, and they share with us, how we can improve, and what we're doing right, and how we can improve on where we're lacking. And of course, the main source of resources that we can get is also Twitter. That's how I got to know about Coaches Clinic, and also the Basketball Embassy and this International Coaching Summit.
Yeah, the Twitter is such a good tool, Coach, because people can share whether it's drills or sets or whatever just with a simple retweet, and I think it's the fastest way for coaching material to travel for sure.
That's right. That's right. I totally agree with that. And a couple of mind candies I want to share. This is something that USA Basketball has pushed. Mind candy, so it makes you think. Be the best at what you do and where you're at. So, for example, if you're a grassroots basketball coach, you may have a dream to coach at a pro level, but you've got to be the best at what you do and where you're at, so to be noticed. So there's always going to be challenges where whatever level you're coaching at, and just overcome these challenges, keep on innovating, keep on getting better, and for sure someone will notice you. And the other important thing is we have to remember that coaches impact lives. That's why we're not really focused for grassroots level. We're not focused on the main objective is not winning. The main objective is to make better people out of our players that we come across, the people that we teach. And there's my contact information here, so you can get me at Twitter, Facebook, my email, and also here we use WhatsApp. So it's easier access, and you can just reach me if you need a copy of my slides, copy of my fast draws for shared during this session. You can reach me at any of these handles, and I'm glad to share with you.
Cool. Well, Coach, man, we really appreciate it for you guys viewing this. Hit him up, give him a follow. These all these videos from the summit will be able to share that, Coach, to anybody that you'd want to share it to. But we really appreciate it. That was cool.
No worries. Thank you very much, Justin, and thank you everyone else who attended this clinic.
See you, Coach.
See ya. Thanks.